Hello, 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 everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Hello, 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 hello. Today's question, are you willing to trust the process? Are you willing to trust the process? Today I have came to the realization that life is full of processes. Life is full of steps that must be taken in order for things to be manifested, in order for things to produce, in order for things to succeed. There has to be a strategic plan. And in that plan, there has to be a process of time, a process of space, and sometimes there has to be a process where it seems, which happens during the time process, where it seems as if things are not changing from the visible prospect, from what the naked eye can see. But behind the scene is working. It's actually going through a process. It's like seeing it in the natural. It's not there. But in the supernatural, it's there. And it's just a process before you can actually see it manifested or occurring in the natural. Will you trust the process? I was leaving my house just as I was preparing to do this message, and I began to look at my yard, my grass. And it's the most beautiful green grass that I've ever seen. The grass is so pretty, you just won't believe that the temperature has been 100 degrees here in Tyler, Texas, where I reside. But my grass is this beautiful green grass that I feel like I could just take a blanket and just stretch out on my lawn, or a quilt, or anything, and just lay there and just receive the beauty of my yard. But guys, 6 months ago, and I say 6 months, I may not be quite accurate. I want to say it was less than 6 months. My yard was the most terrible looking yard that I have ever seen. Because there was a process that it had to endure. I had weeds in my yard. So I called a company. I'm not going to say the company's name. And a year ago, I'd asked them to come and to provide me, I think it was like 4 treatments that the yard had to go through. It had to go through 4 treatments in order to get rid of the weeds. And in the process of it, they were going to spray it with some pesticide to get rid of the bugs and everything that's in the grass. Okay. So there was 4 processes that it had to go through. Well, the first process, my grass still looked the same. But I can't say that I didn't have any more spiders in my house, because I was constantly hearing my daughter screaming about spiders. And she's pretty afraid of spiders, even at her age. As a college student, okay, that doesn't like spiders. But by not hearing her scream, I knew that the process of the pesticide was working, killing the bugs and the spiders and whatever was in the grass, and it would make its way sometimes near the front door, and when you open the door, they would come in. But the second process on the grass, I began to see some brownness. And I knew by that it was beginning to kill the weeds. Okay. But can you say the third process? The third application. The third time that the company came out and sprayed my yard, I began to see a tremendous change. So what was happening behind the scene during the first application and the second application, I didn't see any changes. I didn't see nothing happening. But the third application, one for the Father, one for the Son, and one for the Holy Spirit. I know we're talking about a yard, but I'm sorry. God gives me a revelation in just about anything in my life. I can see the revelation. The third application, my yard became the most horrible yard that I have ever seen. And I've been in that house since 2006. My house was built. So I know what a pretty green yard looks like, because when they first built the house, they laid this grass that was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. But this yard that I was looking at the third application was not my yard. It was terrible. And I live in a neighborhood where everybody takes care of their yards in their homes. We want to see beautiful yards because that's what we do in our neighborhood, is we want to keep it beautified. So I had the most ugliest yard in the neighborhood, and it was very, very hurtful to me because I felt like I had spent this money to have my yard looking beautiful. But I didn't want to trust the process. So I called the company, trying to stay safe, trying to stay in my Christian, outlook, my Christian mindset, and look, speak in a way that was wholesome. And I said the word outlook because I'm supposed to look beyond the ugly grass and just trust and just thank God for the grass and thank God for the house that He allowed me to go in every day and have a place to lay my head and just look at it a different perspective. And I did, and I cut on the sprinkler systems and I trusted that it was going to eventually turn back green. But before they came out for the fourth application, the yard got worse. There was no grass. I had a bare yard, no grass. I mean, no grass whatsoever. So, and I want to say this was around March or April. That's why I said about 6 months, because they started coming out after the winter, because we still had a little winter grass down is what they called it, because I did see a little grass still there, but they said that once it came out, it would eventually kill that grass, because that was the winter grass. And it looked like weeds. It didn't even look like grass, but it was the only thing that was green in my yard. But there was no more grass. All my grass was gone. So I felt like the company might have made a mistake and sprayed the wrong thing on my yard and killed my grass in the process of killing the weeds. So at that point, I wished I had just kept the weeds. At least the weeds were green. I didn't want to trust the process. And in my life, I'm on my way now to work. And I wish that I could remove the weeds and just keep the grass. Because there are some things about my job that I love. But there are some things about my job that I don't love. Now, I love every 2 weeks getting paid. I love that part of it. And I love the schedule that I have, because I have a nice schedule. And I love some things, and I don't want to go into details, because if I do, I might say some things that that I shouldn't say, and you have to be careful what you speak into your atmosphere. So there are some things that I wish that I could get rid of that would be part of getting rid of the weeds on my job. There are some people in my life that seem to be part of the grass that's green and nurturing, but they're actually part of the weeds, and I don't know that. The only way I'll know that is when God allows me to see the people that are for me, because those that are for me, and those that are not are not. But I'm a person, I love the grass and I love the weeds, as long as it's growing together and it's pretty and green. I'm okay with that. I was okay with my yard being pretty and green. I love greenness. I mean, I don't want to come home to an ugly yard. I just don't. No more. So I began to talk to the company to find out what happened. And they send their worker out there, because when they was laying the applications, I was in and out of town. And so I wasn't there for them to even tell me what they were doing. And I didn't take the time to read the emails that was sent to me because I was so busy. So sometimes you can be so busy during the process that you don't catch every element, everything that's being applied, and the purpose of the application. We have to spend some time reading our word in order to understand what God is applying in our life, in order to understand the process and how it's going to take us to get through different steps in order for us to see this beautiful wholeness in our life that's going to give us the green grass, that's going to give us the land that is plentiful, that's going to give us a fruitful life. We have to spend some time reading our word in order to see what God is saying, in order to read the handwriting that's on the wall. So I didn't read the emails, and I didn't read anything that was placed in front of me. There was notes on the door. Sometimes I would take them, and because I very seldom came through my front door, but I would take the notes when I did notice that they were there, and I would, put them with all my other documents or paperwork that I have, or whatever. I have a little file cabinets at home, little small ones, and I put it in there. I'm so busy. And so anyway, I began to talk to the company, and they began to assure me that it was going to turn green, but it was going to take a while because there was another application that they had to apply. And how many of you know that I told them not to do anything else to my yard? At that point, I thought I was going to have to call someone out to replant grass. I felt like that grass was gone. It was dead. And I was told St. Augustine grass does not die. Well, that grass was dead. And they also told me that because of all the weeds that I had in my yard, that it had killed all my grass. It had suffocated my grass. It had killed it. But they could still see runners, is what they called it, in the yard. And so that they knew by that the grass was going to come back. I just had to make sure that my sprinkles came on at the appropriate time to water the grass, and that they would come out and do that last application. But all I saw was if they came out and did another application, that they was going to make my yard even worse than it was. So I started making phone calls to come out and to plant me more grass. And the gentleman that came out to plant more grass was a Christian man. I'm so grateful. Thank God for Christian people. And he told me that he felt like the company may have applied something other than what should have been applied to help kill the weeds but nourish the grass. He said, but there is a possibility that my